Ladies and gentlemen, President of APG, Charles Sternbach. Well, hello, everyone. Can you recall an APG experience that positively impacted your life? No, I'm serious, really. Think for a minute. Can you think of something that really made a difference in your life, an APG experience? I speak with a lot of geoscientists, and I haven't found a single one of them that doesn't have some memorable experience, and some have many experiences. Think about it if you would. Was it a person, perhaps someone who was a role model or a person or a mentor, or an important conversation that gave you an insight, a talk or a poster where you learned about a new technique or discovery or had a chance to present and feel the experience of validation and sharing? Was it a book? I remember talking to the great unconventional explorer Paul Basinski, who told me that the John Masters memoir on Elmworth Field changed his life and made him believe that all things were possible. Perhaps it was a field trip, sometime where you were able to experience an outcrop, or maybe it was a paper. And I remember talking with Eddie David, who told me that he was struggling with an oil field and he was trying to understand the oil water levels. And then he read a Bob Berg paper that talked about hydrodynamics. Think about it. What experience positively impacted you? Just last year, we had an actor portray Wallace Pratt at a DPA luncheon. And the topic was anything is possible, everything is possible. How many of you were there with me? It was a fantastic event. Yeah, it was quite a turnout. And in that moment and in that time, we believed it. We felt it. We realized that the collective geoscience wisdom and talents make anything possible and perseverance. Uh, I attended an event that changed my life 21 years ago. And I have to tell you that when I attended the event, I didn't know it was going to change my life. And I will prove to you here shortly that it did. And impacted a lot of other people's lives too, I would add. And I would say to you that you're in a convention and you're about to experience many events, many of which could change your life. This panel featured legendary explorers who told how they went to places that others feared to tread. They either went to out of the way territories or territories that had business contracts that yet hadn't been worked out, or went back to old places and found new reserves, such as John Masters did. This panel inspired me, and I was a young professional when I attended it. And the presenters were all telling about things that they did when they were young professionals. And I thought, this is great. We need to take this kind of experiences and bring it to some other programs in other societies. And so I was delighted when I was president of HGS to organize and to start the HGS Legends program. We had a talented team, and among the individuals selected to speak was George Mitchell. And George told us right then and there that the Barnett Shale was an overnight success that took 20 years in the making. He struggled with it, and many would say, why didn't he give up? He was trying to get a shale to produce commercial quantities of hydrocarbons. Yet he didn't give up. He had a vision, and he told us then and there that engineering and geology were going to change our lives. And looking back, that was prophetic because, as we can tell from the last decade, we are in the midst of an energy renaissance. And there I am, just to prove that I was once a young person too, standing next to Michelle T. Halbody and Robbie Grease. And I would like to make a comment about Robbie and say thank you, Robbie, for all that you've done. You have never taken no for an answer, have you? You have a passion for geology and geophysics and for finding oil and gas and for getting lots of other people excited about it. You are first woman president of APG. You have paved the path and brought a lot of talented people with you, and I applaud you. Robbie, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making the transformation. And you believed everything was possible, didn't you? And you made it happen. So after hearing the great legends and hearing about the things that they had done in their youth, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a program where contemporaries are talking about discoveries that are happening in the much more recent times? And this vision created the program called Discovery Thinking. And I wanted to have, so I called up a couple of my friends and I said, folks, we got to make this happen. And so when you want something that to exist that doesn't exist, there's only one thing to do. Call up your friends and say, let's make this happen. And so I did. And then when people started showing up at these programs, I realized I had to get a lot more friends. And so over the years, we have had a lot of fun with these programs, and we have a session tomorrow. But I think the great question is who are going to be the discovery thinkers of the future? And ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, young professional students in this audience, you are going to be the discovery thinkers going forward. And I think that you're in for a very exciting time. And another program that I had an opportunity was president of the Division of Professional Affairs is to create Playmakers, which are one-day immersive events, possibly 12 to 16 talks on a particular play or basin. And they just really get down into what's happening right now, real time. I mean, this is not ancient history, folks. This is what's happening today. And so we've had a series of some great programs. Our newly elected president-elect Mike Party has been the chair of two of our most successful programs that were done in the Midland Basin, in the Permian Basin, Delaware Basin. And we had a great event in the Pacific section. You can see Vaughn Thompson and Greg Gordon there, two young leaders who stepped up to organize this program in the PAC section. By the way, that's a photo mural of the Monterey Shell behind us. And I'd like to recognize my wife, Linda Sternbeck, for her leadership in capturing and videoing and making the sharing of these presentations possible. She's really been hard at it, and many of these are posted on the APG website. And so I would like to share with you, going back to the legendary tale, that I have had a series of events that have happened in my life, all because of that. My life changed on that day. My passion became, and it happened. And I say, we are here again at this convention, and many of you can have your lives changed as well. So be aware, be awake. There will be things that can happen to you this week at this event. So for me, it started with the legendary tale, the Legends programs. That led to the HGS Legend. That led to the discovery thinking at both the annual conventions and the discovery thinking at the international convention. It led to the Playmakers, and it led to super basins. And if you've been following my columns in the Explorer, you can see that this is a new way of thinking about basins and what their potential reserves may be and how to address the energy issues and the geoscience architecture. And I believe we are in our first steps of a future tradition. There's a session on super basins tomorrow. There are going to be bulletin articles on these great basins, and we're looking at future conferences, thematic conferences. So I've climbed a mountain here based on an initial idea. So what mountain will you be climbing? What ideas will you hear at this conference? I think that's important to remember. So from the super basins, we communicated with industry leaders, and we took the case using media and also speaking directly with CEOs. And when I speak with CEOs, and I would tell any CEO that I do meet that geoscience matters. The foundation of any successful energy company is based on geoscience. So let's take a look at a miracle. As many of you may recognize, this is the Permian Basin daily production curves, and you can see that the glorious heyday of the Permian Basin was in the 1970s. And if you followed the decline over many decades, you can see that in these days, things weren't possibly looking so good, were they? And then, due to hydraulic fracturing of horizontal wells, a miracle happened. Bam! Quickly, just like that. George Mitchell's prediction came true, and there was a proliferation of horizontal drilling technology. And there are basins that are getting renewed production curves because of enhanced seismic imaging around the globe. And if you look at this, what's exciting is we as geoscientists, we get a lot from APG. But let's turn this around. We as geoscientists give a lot to the world. We are the energy providers, and the exciting tools that we have at our disposal in some of these mature basins are tools that are going to yield phenomenal reserves. And this is an exciting time. And the future reserves are going back to old basins. And in addition, if you want to imagine some potential game changers of the future, just think about there are sedimentary packages in deep and ultra deep water that we haven't even begun to tackle. And that someday, I predict, just like with the mature super basins, we will see new waves of anything possible, everything possible. You can tell that I'm an optimist, and that's because I'm an explorer. Now, the future, let's recognize that this future energy and the future science that's going to underpin this is going to come from our young people. And take a good look at our conference organizers here in Salt Lake City. Look at these amazing and talented individuals. And I would like to call out Michael Vandenberg, who we know, in addition to being a great skier, Mike, we know you're a great geologist and a great conference organizer. And I want to recognize Lauren Bergenheyer for creating the technical program that we are about to enjoy. And APG Foundation has just recognized Lauren with the Outstanding Educator Award. So how fantastic are these people? So ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Mike and Lauren and the entire convention committee for an incredible job well done. And I tell you, future leadership is happening now. And as I go around the sections, I just get back from the Southwest section a few weeks ago in El Paso. Young leaders, students, here's Claire Bailey and here's Jim Rakowski. They're students at UTEP. They organized the meeting. They had the key roles as general chair and president of the local society. They're taking charge now. And it's not just the Southwest section. A lot of sections we're having younger leaders take charge. Very exciting. So as we think back to my opening comment, that anything is possible, or my opening comment, to think about great events in our lives, great moments that APG has provided, I can think of no greater events than those that happen on field trips. And for a lot of us, I'm happiest when I am surrounded by my geoscience peers, because we are not only touching the earth and experiencing unconformities, depositional environments, structural features, we are experiencing that, but we're experiencing each other. We give strength to each other, and the joy in those experiences are, I would say, among our finest events. And so, AAPG is about all of us celebrating meaningful moments together. And these meaningful moments, they form the basis. There can be no doubt that at all levels, these underpin anything is possible, everything is possible. Have a great convention.